Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. We're going to take a look at another Todd Begg Designs knife. As you guys know, I've had a lot of Todd Begg's knives under my lens. His knives they just get my pants tight. I absolutely love them. And this goes all the way back to the bodega and continuing forth till today. I've gone through a couple of glimpses and field marshals and all kinds of great stuff. And today we're going to take a look at the newest of the Glimpse series. This is the Glimpse 6.0. Now, if you go back in my channel a little ways, you will see the Glimpse 5.5. My first one was done in the blue and gold. This one is my black and gold. This has been my favorite Glimpse since many years ago, when I had a custom Glimpse that had the beautiful wood inlays. But those, unfortunately, will cost you a pretty penny. This is the first time that we are seeing an inlaid Glimpse of this new model. Everything up until this point, in these mid-techs, in this new generation, I should say, have been the custom milled and textured titanium. And they've been extraordinarily successful. Everybody seems to love them. But a lot of people miss the look of the original bodegas that had either carbon fiber, lightning strike carbon fiber, or G10 inlays. Well, since the bodega is not made like this anymore, except in a couple of customized variations, the Glimpse is now going to step into that, but it's upgraded because now you have those beautiful flush inlays that you cannot, and I mean cannot feel. I don't care where you rub it, where you stroke it. Don't do that in public generally. You're not going to feel it. And that is what makes this a nice, slim, easy to carry EDC style knife. Now, I've mentioned before that the Glimpse is actually larger than the bodega, and that is true, but only by a wee little bit. And it's really all, I don't want to say it's all in the blade. There's a little bit of a difference in the handle as well, but it is a longer knife. However, it's slimmer and just a teeny tiny bit lighter in weight, so it is actually easier to carry. And this was just a great excuse for me to bring Big Red out again. I know you guys miss Big Red. We don't see Big Red nearly often enough. So when you take a look at the different generations of the Glimpse, it really hasn't changed all that much, but some subtle differences are there. Now, you are able to still get the fluted blade, and that was honestly what I was going to go for, and then I stopped and I thought about it and I went, okay, every bodega I've owned has had a fluted blade. All of my Glimpses have had fluted blades. All 5 of my field marshals have fluted blades. Even my mini Glimpse friction folder has the fluted blade. So it's time to do something a little bit different. So I opted for this grind. There are, I think, 3 different grinds that will be available, and a number of different inlays. The silver Texalium, which is what you see here on mine, I do not see on Todd Begg's website. The photograph that you'll see up there, there'll be one in carbon fiber, lightning strike carbon fiber, blue Texalium, and I believe there was an OD green G10. Now that leads me to believe that there are going to be a few different options available throughout the year as they're producing these. So keep your chin up. If you don't already see your favorite variation, you're likely to see it soon. Oh, yeah. Another interesting thing to note that while these are mid-techs, every one of the blades are hand ground. That's very important to note, because when you're talking about mid-tech or production knives, it's generally going to be about mass quantities. How many can you make in order to satisfy the customers that want them? When you stop everything and hand grind a knife, now you're talking about slowing that production down because it takes a lot longer to do so. The inlays are all hand contoured and blended. Once again, that's another thing that will slow things up. And people often wonder, they talk about the bodegas, they talk about the glimpses, and they go, these are the world's most expensive mid-techs. What makes them worth so much? And it's exactly what I'm talking about right now. All of that handwork. Even when the components are being pieced together, you've got stop pins that are oversized that have to be brought down to size to fit this frame. You've got the polishing inside of the flute on the handle. You have the cracked ice or jeweled ice of the back spacer and of the clip that are done by hand. It's a machine, but it's a handheld machine. All of the hand fitting, hand grinding, setting the detents, and setting the locks. This is the stuff that takes time. This is the stuff that costs money. So when you look at this and go, that's $1,400, I can buy a custom knife for that. Maybe yes, absolutely. I'm not going to argue that. Can you buy one of Todd Begg's customs? Absolutely not. He starts at $5,000 because it'll take him a few weeks in order to make a knife. That's why his wait list is over 6 years long. Because he'll sit down and he'll take hours and hours to grind your blade. He'll sit down for days, and I'm not exaggerating when I say days, to do a hand rub satin or do a mirror polish. When he polishes a frame, you've got about a half a week of him sitting there and polishing it by hand. He lives, breathes, thinks on a different level than most knife makers. So when it came time to come up with mid-tech knives, which are the bodega and the glimpses, it was trying to bring that same philosophy and level of detail into a mid-tech knife, and that's not very easy to accomplish. I had spoken to Todd a couple of years ago about the bodega. He says, what people don't realize is on the bodega, there are 45 hours of hand work that goes into every one of these. Now, your typical mid-tech, once everything's all said and done, actual handwork may be anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours. And you're talking 45 hours of handwork to make a single bodega. That's also why so few were made. Only about 300 of the original bodegas were ever made. People think that there were more, but there really weren't. Now, I don't believe there's a full 45 hours in the glimpse, but you're running damn close to it. This knife has pretty much the perfect detent. I have been extremely impressed with that. Great action, of course, being the ceramic IKBS. And that will be denoted, by the way. It's a little trick that you can use to know if you have standard steel IKBS or ceramic. You just look at your pocket clip. If you have a large ceramic ball, you've got ceramic balls. Well, not you, but your knife inside of the knife. If you have a steel ball, guess what? Say it with me. You've got steel balls. And it is worth the extra bit of money. I had my bodega upgraded last year, about 6 months ago, I guess. And while it's not a night and day difference, it is a significant difference, and a difference that I very much appreciate. I love this new grind. I love the fact they're taking the time to do two tones. So you've got the hand satin on the flats going into the flipper tab, and then you have the acid etched primary bevel and top swedge. I also love the way that top swedge has been executed too. Just a fantastic job. All in all, I kind of look at the glimpse as being a slightly more low-key bodega. It doesn't have quite as much going on. You know, you don't have the cracked ice pivot island going around the pivot. This is a little bit more standard. There just seems to be slightly less going on. Although the lock sides, that really gets very, 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 very similar. You do have the same, by the way, I should mention this, it's been a long time since I have. You have the same sub-frame lock assembly. So the lock side of the knife is actually two individual pieces. The large piece here, which is screwed into the back spacer, and then screwed into the back spacer with these two screws, is going to be the sub-frame lock assembly. So if anything were to ever go tragically wrong with this lock for some reason, you know, most guys are either going to have to remake an entire side of a knife or reblade it, one of the two, whichever happens to work out best for that scenario. All they have to do is simply take these two screws out, remove the pocket clip, because I'm sure they want to reuse the pocket clip. They're going to remove that lock, install a new lock, fit that lock to that blade, and they're done. So it makes things, I would think, a little bit simpler for them. Now, a little bonus that I wanted to throw in here is another very special knife that I also picked up at the same time at the New York Custom Knife Show, and that was this bad boy right here. Many of you know I've gotten a lot more into fixed blades over the past year and a half, and I carry a fixed blade almost every single day with one of my folders. But for me, it's got to be a practical EDC-sized fixed blade. And I honestly, truly, thoroughly believe that the Mini Glimpse fixed blade is the absolute perfect size. It's a 3-inch blade. Wonderful balance, great size overall. Same Bowler End 690 blade steel is being used in the Bodegas, in the Field Marshals, and in the Glimpses. So you've got the same high quality steel that takes a beautiful finish. Look at that sexy ass satin with the black flute, with of course the holes through it, as we're accustomed to. The jeweled ice finish goes all the way down the spine of the blade. See if we can get it to focus just on that. All the way down the spine of the blade. Got some jimping right there breaking it up. More jeweled ice there. More jimping. And oh yes, look. More jeweled ice. Oh, hello. Fucking sexy beast. Here's the only downside. When I was talking to Mark about these, they were selling these at the show for about $4.25, so I'm thinking they're probably about $5.75 retail if you don't buy them at a show. He says there just isn't enough profit in these in order to really keep doing them. He says maybe it's a project they consider for the future for the Steelcraft series, where they make a a production version out of China that won't have anywhere near as much time and expense into it, and they can price them even lower. But he says the price they're selling them at, he says we made 20, we're probably not going to make any more. It's just doesn't seem like a viable business option for them. But I am fucking glad that I got my paws on one of these. Between the size of the knife and the slip sheath that they had made for it, this sits in my pocket, in my left pocket, just in the same place that a folder would. It stays there, stays upright, stays in my pocket, and I can just reach in there and pull out a really good sized, super crazy sharp knife that's going to work perfectly for me. This is a practical, everyday knife. I may actually put a lanyard on there to make things even easier, I'm not sure. But I love the fact that I can carry one of my glimpses and have a matching glimpse to go with it. I chose the two-tone G10, the black and gray G10, just because I kind of dig the look. The way that they've made it here looks pretty fucking cool. But it is the same as having the Mini Glimpse friction folder. Let's move that bad boy up here, that right there. So they are identical in their size. As a matter of fact, when I first walked up to their table, and then I watched almost everybody else doing the same thing, we all picked it up and went like this to close it because we thought it folded. We thought it was one of the frickies. Nope, it's actually a fixed blade. And I instantly fell in love when I saw the little sheath and went, holy shit, I can carry that right in my pocket. You can carry it in your back pocket next to your phone or wallet, I suppose. I do that sometimes with some of my smaller EDC fixed blades, but I really like the option of having it in the opposite pocket to my folder. It's as easy to get to as my folder is. Obviously, because it doesn't have a clip or a lock, it's an ambidextrous knife, so it's something that I can use with either hand. And this has come in very, very, very handy for me. I'm really a huge fan of this knife. And while I'm supposed to really be talking about this in this video, I'll be honest with you, every time I bring this knife out, it doesn't matter what primary knife I'm carrying. This is the one I end up talking about the most. I have a real love for this knife. There's something about it. The way that it feels in the hand, the way that I'm able to hold on to it, the overall size, the ease of carry. That's one of my favorite knives in my entire collection. And it's one of the least expensive knives that I've ever owned. So it just goes to show, you know, it's about the quality in the design initially, and it's about the quality and in the execution and the fine details. Yes, I love the feel, I love the size, I love the sharpness, I love the blade steel, but when you get to show somebody the knife and they start looking at the jeweled ice, they start looking at the black and gray G10, they take a good look at the flute and the satin finishes that are on this. It's an impressive knife no matter how you view it. So for me, there's a lot of pride of ownership there. So let's get that back in the sheath. And it's stealing the spotlight, so we got to get rid of it. Another one that I picked up, actually I picked up a couple different variations at the show. You'll be seeing a video on this bad boy at some point very soon. This is the Damasteel variation of the Field Marshal. I will be making a video on that. Very, very pleased to have gotten my hands on one of those. Not many of those are going to exist, even though it is a production knife. But in closing, I just want to say that if you've ever considered owning a Glimpse, keep a couple things in mind. It is a good EDC knife because it is slim. It is easy to carry. It has that legendary Todd Begg action. These are better than the original Bodegas as far as their action goes. The detent is a little bit sharper. It's every bit as smooth, maybe a bit smoother now because of the ceramic bearings. You've got some great options in your blade finishes. You've got some great options now in your inlays as well. And also keep in mind that every variation of the Glimpse that has come out, once it has been retired, it's always a short run, they've always gone up in value. Can I say that these will go up in value? Fuck, man, I have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball. But just taking into account their history, I would venture a guess as to say yes. My bags don't leave my collection. Every one that I've gotten, I've kept, and they're all going to my kids. They're all going to be heirlooms. But, you know, so I don't really think about the resale value on them, really. But, you know, I do watch the market, and I do watch what other people are doing. And the Glimpses have done fairly well. Not as well as the Bodega, because, you know, it seems like more Glimpses were made. I can't verify that. And it's a newer production. So even like mine on the 5.5s, you know, that was only 2 years ago. Once it gets past about 3 years or so of not being made, the value can do nothing but go up because now they're harder and harder and harder to get. That's just the way it is. So I never tell somebody to buy a knife based on the fact that they can make money on it later. It's just not my thing. But that's one of the nice side benefits on pretty much any Glimpse or Bodega you get your hands on. The first Glimpse I ever owned was a 2.0. It was, I bought it secondary market from a collector who never carried it. It was like brand new. It had Amboina wood inlays into a G10 frame. It was unbelievably beautiful. I still kick myself in the ass for selling it. But once I had, you know, a couple of other Begg knives in my collection, I kind of went, well, that's not on bearings, that's on washers, and it's a little slick in my hand, and I'm afraid of flipping it, and it's going to fall out of my hand, so I justified reasons not to carry it. I should have just kept it in the collection whether I carried it or not. I paid a lot of money for it, and I even made a couple of bucks when I sold it, and I saw it then flip later, and it went for a lot more money, so it stands to reason that it's a fairly decent investment. But for me, it's a great carry knife. I carry and use all of my knives. I've enjoyed the shit out of this. I've only had this for about 2 weeks now, so I've only carried it, I think, once or twice. I ended up coming back from the show with a lot of knives, and I've had a lot of knives arrive since then, so sometimes things fight for pocket time, especially if I'm taking some time to evaluate a knife before a review, or maybe a maker sends me a knife and asks me for my opinion on it, video or no video. So I don't always get to carry everything right away, but I've enjoyed this immensely since I've had it. I am extremely impressed with the way they've blended the materials. It is so well done and so slim that it really makes this a really attractive option to carry in the pocket as a daily carry. So there you have it, guys. There she is. There is the Glimpse 6.0. Figure probably in about 2 years we'll see a Glimpse 7.0, and God knows how crazy that's going to be. But for right now, you get a choice of inlays, choice of blade versions, choice of finishes. I think that's pretty badass. And don't forget, as always, with Todd Begg, they have the custom shop availability. So let's say you buy the silver Texalium, and in a year you're thinking to yourself, you know, I dig this knife, but you know, I really want to upgrade it. I want to put a satin finish on that stonewash frame, and I want to put fucking Timascus inlays in there. Send it off to them, pay whatever the price is, and voila, it has been customized. Because they do that. How awesome is that? That's something that you don't often get a chance to do. So there you have it, guys. So I'll lay out all the glimpses here for you in a row, let you see the comparisons between them. And yeah, I gotta tell you, I am so fucking in love with that little bastard right there. So there you have it, guys. I'm out of here for now. Thank you all for watching. As always, these are currently available. You can check with all the major dealers. God, everybody works with them. Blade HQ, Arizona Custom Knives, GP Knives. Everybody that's big and has a great reputation deals with Todd Begg. So definitely check them out. And if you can find any of the fixed blades, I'm telling you right now, that's going to be one of your favorite knives that you have ever owned. And the great thing is, you don't have to spend $1,400 to get a really badass Begg. So think of it that way as well. All right, I'm out of here before I keep on rambling. See you guys on the next video.